Aloha from Waikiki, Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm with Coach Deb, who is at Coach Deb on Twitter. And what are your other sites?
tribalseduction.com.
Okay.
And twitterhandbook.com.
Okay. So she just gave this amazing talk and had a very rousing discussion going. So you wrote the first book on Twitter, right?
Yes. I actually wrote the first book on new media marketing back in 2006. It was Secrets of Online Persuasion, and it was before Twitter ever even existed, but we talked about the channels of new media, blogs, podcasts, online video, and then wrote the first book on Twitter last year, and that's Twitter Revolution. And we were just talking a little bit, and actually Chris was telling me how Twitter is not a conversation, or about the conversation. Our argument was that it is about the conversation, and we were actually having a conversation about Twitter. So
Chris Perillo.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll let the audience decide. Is Twitter, can it be used for conversation, whether it's created that way as a tool or not? To me, I look at it as an innovator, and I say, how can you best use the tool, and then use it the way you want to engage and interact with your audience?
Right. Hey, that actually, that could be the question of the day, but
could
whatever
be.
You want.
Is it a conversation, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I remember retweeting an article about that, and it said that it was not a conversation. I actually have met many people because of the conversations. When I was just tweeting articles, I wasn't really meeting anyone.
Right.
But then when I started actually talking with them is when it became a human experience.
Yep. And I call that a conversation.
Right.
Right. If you're talking to someone and they're replying back.
Yes.
So regardless of what the thread is, and that it wasn't really designed to really track the conversation, I look at it as I go to search.twitter.com, and then if I'm using a specific, like for instance, this conference is Rethink Hawaii. So the hashtag is the #, and then rethink. So I go to search.twitter.com, and then I enter rethink, and then that's where I track and have the conversation. So then I'll reply to you, you'll reply to me, and I say that's a conversation, right? Now, again, technically, geeks will say, well, it's not threaded, it's not easy to track and whatnot, but if you can use the tool and figure out how to have those conversations, that's the key, is if you can think about it as the conversation, the party, the cocktail party, the networking event, right? And it's the same thing as if you go out golfing and you're talking with people and building that rapport and relationships with them, and then you want to do business with the people you know, love, and trust, right? You want to give your business to people that you like, right? We like them, we like what they stand for, we like their causes, so that's what you do. You start talking about the things that you stand for on Twitter, the causes that you would die for, and you'll attract your tribe of like-minded people, and those are the people that will support you in your business.
Right. Okay. So then the question of the day is whether you think Twitter is a conversation or not.
And then send me an @message on Twitter @CoachDeb, and then tell me, and then we'll have a conversation.
Can I ask you, how did you even come to write the first book about it? You just knew from the beginning when you found out about Twitter that it was going to be this huge.
I think because I got on it, and at first when I first heard about it, I heard it on CNN. I was actually in Singapore on a speaking event, and was at Breakfast Lounge, and I'm like, no way will I ever use that, because it wasn't presented right? Again, it wasn't presented as a conversation.
Yes.
And once I started having conversations, once I started meeting people and interacting, I just got addicted. I really liked it. I was in Hawaii at the time. I was very isolated on the North Shore. It allowed me to get to know a lot more people and expand my network without leaving my home office, right? So I just loved it. I saw how it was being used. So I'd become this just being able to just detect trends, right, and spot them. And I just saw it as something like, this is a trend, just like, again, blogging was years ago when people poo-pooed it. They're like, what is this blogging thing? It's a fad. Well, they said websites were going to be a fad too. So it's just about detecting and analyzing things, and then being a user. When you become a user and you know how to use a tool, you'll be able to then project, is this something that can catch on, especially if you're using it right. And if you use it as conversation, and if you like talking, like I clearly do, right, then you can use it. If you're not that much of a conversationalist and you're more of an introvert, that's the other thing, is that I found my friends who really weren't very outgoing at parties, but they loved Twitter because they said, well, I can think about an answer and then come back and join the conversation just a little bit later after I've had a moment to think about it.
Yes.
Whereas in a party setting, they can't really interject a conversation or say something. It's like by the time they do that, they're on to a different conversation. On Twitter, that doesn't happen. You can just kind of participate at your time, at your convenience.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so you coach people on social media?
So develop a strategy so that you're not just going in willy-nilly and then just talking about nothing. Talking about specifically what are the things that you're passionate about, and what does your company stand for, how do you brand yourself so that when you're on Twitter, your message gets across and it's consistently bringing an emotion in the eyes of the reader or listener. If you're doing audio, using Twitter and using audio, but having a very strategic purpose and reason for being on Twitter and developing that for people, for companies, and then just taking it to the next level on social media.
Okay, and what are your sites? I'm just going to check the lighting here while I do this. Okay, and what are your sites? Like your YouTube channel?
TribalSeduction.com is my blog, but then Quansite is the software that we develop for people to actually use social media and not have to do all of this stuff, not have to worry about all the techie stuff. We just take care of that for them with Quansite.com. Again, just like Jerry Maguire gives it all to you, the Quan, Q-U-A-N, and also quantum physics, that we're literally bending time for entrepreneurs that don't want to waste 40 hours of their time in social media, so they use the software and systems to bend time for them. So, and then otherwise on Twitter it's Coach Deb. On YouTube it's also Coach Deb.
Okay, great. And I didn't get to say, how's this lighting? Let's keep changing because the light keeps changing. But
Hawaii, you gotta love it.
I know. Oh, how's my hair?
It's gorgeous.
There, how's this? Oh wait, I'll turn this one. Just, you never know because of these viewfinders.
Yes.
They're kind of, okay, but I'd rather have it bright. But anyway, so Coach Deb is how I got into Twitter, because we were at this marketing conference, and she had said to everyone, you got to get on Twitter, and that was a year ago, and I did, and it's changed my life, and so I owe that to Deb.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Deb. Yes.
And it's good that you took action, right? Because there could be people in the room that didn't take action.
There were many
That's
people.
the difference with you. When you hear something, taking action immediately instead of saying, oh, I don't know, just go and take the plunge just like you did. You obviously benefited from it. You met a ton of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
changed my life. Some of my great friends. Yeah.
Join Twitter.
Yes, and I'm specifically going to leave it for Twitter as the question of the day, because I know many of you on YouTube specifically are not on Twitter, but give it a shot, and just you can let us know what you think. Is Twitter a conversation? And maybe this is why you're not on Twitter, but you can voice your opinion, talk to Deb, Coach Deb, and maybe you'll think differently. Or maybe not, but
Yeah, tell me when you agree with me, and I'll use it as ammunition for Chris. Be like, see?
Okay, so aloha from Rethink Hawaii,
Aloha.
the conference, and we look forward to hearing from you.